Hey guys, it's Merlini bringing you patch analysis for a very short patch 6.81b. So unlike the other ones, I will go through the changes one by one and give you my thoughts on them. So first page is AA through Earthshaker. Ancient Apparition, Ice Vortex slow decrease from 1822 26 30 to 15 20 25 30%. So makes the value point a little bit less attractive. It's reduced by 3% level 1, 2% level 2, 1% at level 3, and 0% at level 4. So this may change the skill ups a little bit, but overall this is a very, very minor change. May make the pick a little bit less attractive for everyone. Obviously the Asian scene a little bit more since they pick it a lot more. But overall, this is not really that impactful of a change. Next one, Batrider. Sticky Napalm bonus damage is now halved against non-hero units. This is a very significant change. It sounds significant, but how significant is it actually? So I did some math since everybody likes math. So forgive the PowerPoint. I just wanted a dark background with lighter text. So this is the easy way to do it. So we have a level 4 Batrider, level 2 Firefly, plus level 2 Sticky Napalm. These are just examples. If you're in the jungle and you're trying to work on an 800 HP creep, you have 40 damage a second from Firefly, plus 4 stacks of level 2 Sticky Napalm, which is 15 damage a second. 40 plus 60 is 100 damage a second. 800 HP divided by 100, 8 seconds. So now, new 800 HP creep, same thing, 40 damage a second plus 4 stacks, but you had to divide by 2 now because it's half damage versus creeps. You have 40 plus 30, 70 damage a second, so 11.5 seconds instead of 8. So how much of a percent increase in that? About 44%. Obviously, if it takes a little bit longer, you're probably going to cast more napalm stacks, but I wanted to keep all these variables the same. So what about a lane creep? Lane creeps have about 600 HP for the melee ones. 550 if you want to get really in depth, but around 600 for calculation's sake. 40 damage a second. You'll have a little bit less stacks because generally you have less stacks for lane creeps than you do for jungle, because lane creeps will actually do something instead of just sit there when you sack napalm. So 40 damage a second plus 2 stacks times 15 is 70 damage a second. Approximately 8.5 seconds to kill a 600 HP creep. New with 2 stacks. 15 damage divided by 2, you'll have 40 plus 15 instead of 40 plus 30, 55 damage a second, about 11 seconds, so about 30% increase. So obviously when you have less napalm stacks, the difference in percent is going to be a little bit less, but you get that it's going to take longer to kill creeps, maybe like 25 to 50% depending on how many napalm stacks you have. So that's actually pretty significant, and it will no longer make them the best offlaner in the game. So this cuts down on his efficiency a lot. I might have jumbled some words around there, but forgive that. So next one, Bounty Hunter. Shadow Walk duration increased from 15, 20, 25, 30 to 5 seconds more at all levels. Pretty necessary. Bounty Hunter kind of just fell off the map after Track got its minus armor removed. So this will bump him up a little bit, which is nice, especially versus heroes like Mirana. Doom, Devour mana cost rescaled from 60, 50, 40, 30 to 60. This is pretty significant because Doom is considered a tier 1 hero by many scenes, and you can just pretty much pick him without really getting punished in return, and no one really goes arcanes on him anymore. They sometimes you'll see the position 4 or 5 Doom with the arcane mech, but most of the time they'll be in a position 1 or a mid position 2, sometimes offlaner position 3, so they'll have a lot of farm, and generally they don't even need to get an arcane boots, which is interesting on a strength hero that does take a lot of mana. I kind of view him as a spellcaster tank, which is pretty unusual, especially compared to someone like Ogre, who's a spellcaster tank but never gets picked at all. Doom's utility is just much too high to ignore, so this will definitely bump him down the ranks. Drow Ranger, Gust knockback actually scales now, which is pretty cool. It just gets a flat 0.1 second duration buff at level 1 to Drow Ranger. I think definitely needs some help. Earthshaker, turn rate improved from 0.6 to 0.9. Echo, everything improved from 525, 550, 500 to 575. So this makes Echo Stram a lot stronger. This change is actually pretty important, probably one of the most important changes in this patch, aside from like the obvious like Batrider and Invoker, because Earthshaker used to be a top tier support, but the risk reward is a little bit it's just not there anymore, because with a hero like Sand King, if you fail ganks and you fail roaming, whatever, you just stack jungle, get your blink, and then you go kill. So Earthshaker, if you actually fall behind early, you don't really have a good mechanic to catch up. You have to be really good Earthshaker to get fissure blocks that won't screw up your team and to actually get kills with it. So he used to be one of the top tier supports. He would just go around roaming with clarities, protect your solo heroes, or set up kills in those solo lanes. So it takes a very skilled Earthshaker player to actually make the hero work, and you can no longer redirect creeps from the lane into the Ancients, which is also a reason why he was picked. Like, okay, well, if I can't get kills with level 1 Fissure, I'll just get Ancients and get my fast blink dagger or deny the opponent's XP that way. So if I'm underfarmed, at least they're underfarmed too. But with that no longer being the case, Earthshaker probably need a few buffs to compete with SD, Sand King, and the likes. Also, Clockwork has fallen off a lot too, so that was not the straight Earthshaker counter, but it did make his life extremely difficult. And it's a soft counter, I would say. So now with Clockwork kind of mostly gone, Earthshaker will probably see a resurgence fairly soon. So on to the next page. Page 2 is ET to Leshrac. So Elder Titan, slight Echo Stomp damage increase, whatever. Enigma, Midnight Pulse duration increase from 8 to 11. Enigma is actually being picked a fair amount, but Midnight Pulse is not as strong a skill. It might put it in line for other skills, but if you stay in that for 11 seconds or 8 seconds, you're probably doing something wrong. So all in all, probably not too great of a change. Invoker, this hero got hit very, very hard, much harder than in 6.81. Forge Spirits will no longer be the bane of most supports because their magic resistance will be removed, 33% now removed. Cold Snap damage rework from an initial and secondary proc damage of 60/30 to 7 times quas level per proc. This is very, very significant because most of the time you'll see quas exhorts only get 4 in quas wax only get 3 in quas, and this will actually make you think about, hey, maybe I should level out quas more because my Cold Snap doesn't do anything besides stun. It's like Shackle Shot, let's say. It's like people think that's a really weak stun because it doesn't do any damage. And last but not least, Deafening Blast Disarm is now dispelled when magic immunity is applied. So that just makes it more in line with other spells like Ice Wall. And I mean, most debuffs should be dispelled when you BKB. So how significant is the Cold Snap damage rework? Let's see. Back to math class. Previous, obviously each slash represents each level. So 3 is level 1 quas, 9 is level 7 quas. So previously it may trigger up to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times over restoration, resulting in a maximum of 150, add by 30, add by 30, add by 30, all the way to 330 damage. And the way it was calculated, 60 initial damage, 30 damage per proc. So 150 to 330 was scaling new, may trigger up to the same amount of times of restoration. Duration was not nerfed, neither was stun duration, resulting in a maximum of 28, 70, 126, 196, 280, 378, and 490. So 7 times quas for initial damage plus 7 times quas damage per proc. So levels 1, it does significantly less damage, less than 1/5 of the damage. Level 2, not as bad, but still pretty darn bad. Level 3, a little greater than half of what it initially did. Level 4, pretty close, like 80%. Level 5, it actually overtakes what it did before. Level 6 and level 7 overtakes what it does too. But that is only considering maximum damage too. So don't let that fool you. So for comparison, in a more realistic situation at level 3 quas, because almost no one gets level 5, 6, or 7 unless the game is 50 minutes long. Level 3 quas with 2 procs because you're probably not going to get I should probably change it to 3 procs. 3 procs is a little bit more realistic. So I'll change this math a little bit. 3 times at level 3, you'll have 60 plus 30 times 3. So that will be 150 damage. 3 times at level 3 with a new one, you'll have 21 times 4. So 84. So a little bit more than half. But you'll see that this is a pretty significant damage gap from before. So most of the time you're going to be relying on Cold Snap for the utility, no longer for the utility plus damage. So that's very, very significant. Juggernaut, he got buffed a little bit. Omni Slash, damage per slash rescaled from 175 to 250 to 220 to 225. Same average damage, just more reliable. Base attack time improved from 1.5 to 1.4. This is more significant on Juggernaut than for other heroes because the way Omni Slash damage is calculated, you do damage per slash, that's your flat, which is given right there. And then if your attack time is low enough, you'll actually do regular auto attacks in between the Omni Slash hits. So the greater base attack time, there are some breakpoints, I believe, but I didn't do too much research into this, but it is much greater than you'll initially think it is if you are not familiar with Omni Slash mechanics. Leshrac Pulse Nova damage increased slightly. Leshrac's kind of irrelevant in the competitive scene right now, so that's not too significant. Next one, we have Lina to QOP. Lina, Light Strike Array, stun duration increased from 1.6 to 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9. So now Max Dragon Slave is usually what you'll go for. So people usually go 4-1-4 or 4-4-1. That decision is a little bit more difficult now because the stun duration is increased. So Lina keeps getting buffs because she's a good hero, or she should be a good hero. Lycan, Howl duration decreased from 12 to 10. Howl bonus damage reduced from 20, 30, 40, 50 to 14, 26, 38, 50. So somewhat similar to the AA nerf, but more significant because the numbers are greater. So at level 4 you still get a little bit less duration, but at level 1 and 2 in the laning phase, when it's going to be pretty significant, let's see how much damage that actually is. So for Lycan, base attack time without Wolfie form is 1.7 seconds, so without Gloves of Haste or anything. At level 1, extra damage from Howl would have been 12 divided by your base attack time, 1.7 times 20 damage a hit. So 141 extra damage from Howl. Now it will be 10 seconds, which is new Howl duration divided by, 1.7. My math is times 14. I believe that math is still right. Let me double check that. So yeah, this is still the right math. Just the left side was wrong. So 82.35 extra damage from Howl. So approximately 42% decrease. And that may not sound, that might not sound that significant, like 60 damage less, but you have to think about how applying to all 5 heroes. So if all 5 heroes hit, about 300 damage less, but that's an ideal situation. So take that what you will, but it's still pretty significant damage loss. So Lycan, probably still T1 material, just not as much as before. Mirana, Sacred Arrow, minimum stun duration decreased from 0.5 to 0.01, so point blank stuns will no longer destroy you. Maximum duration is still 5 seconds, growing linearly, so that means that pretty much everything is decreased since it grows linearly. Like if you're half the maximum range, it'll be less than it was before, and then only at the maximum will it be greater than or equal, or it'll be equal. So instead of a line like this for the stuns, it'll be a line like this for the stuns. This is viewing from my point of view, so I guess from your point of view it would be like this, and this is old, this is new. Sacred Arrow, minimum damage reduced by 40. Maximum damage is still 190, 280, 370, 460. Does a little bit less damage. Good. Screw Mirana. She's everywhere. She's a little bit too powerful. But you have to keep in mind that with some heroes getting buffed, like good old Bounty Hunter getting buffed, like Drow Ranger with her silence getting buffed, maybe we'll see a little bit less Mirana. So if this were the only thing in the patch, it probably wouldn't be enough to knock Mirana out. But with all the other buffs and all the other nerfs, it probably is, but only time will tell. Ogre, Magi, multicast, passive mana cost, penalty on Fire Blast reduced from 30, 71, 10 to 20, 40, 60. Yeah. Bloodlust can now be cast on magic immune allies. Both of these are pretty nice, but teams just generally don't like to pick Ogre. Who knows why? I think he's pretty cool. Omni Knight, Degen, Aura Slow increased from 7, 14, 21, 28 to value point at level 1, 10, 18, 26, 34. So that's pretty significant too, but Omni Knight, you don't know him for Degen Aura. You know him for Repel, Heal, and GA. So, don't really feel too strongly about that. PA, Phantom Strike, bonus attack speed increase from 100 to 130. Pretty cool. PA does need some work. Not sure if that's enough to bump her into competitive range, even like tier 2 range, but one day she'll get there. Queen of Pain, Shadow Strike cast range increase from 435 to 450, 475, 500, 525. That's pretty negligible. She's going to be in pretty close range anyways due to Scream of Pain range. I don't think that changes that significant, but remember that it is 4-second cooldown at level 4. So last page of notes, essay to Zeus, and then one item change, Mjolnir. Riki's smoke screen cooldown reduced from 13-11. I think Riki already has a place in competitive. Teams just don't like to use him. He's decent. Silence is underrated. Same with Skywrath. Silence is underrated. Ancient Steel damage amplification increased from 18, 24, 30, 36 to 30, 35, 40, 45. So that is huge, almost double at level 1. And most of the times I see him nowadays is run as a support. This will definitely make him stronger in the support role because supports are generally lower levels and it's more buffed at lower levels. But it will make the Element Skywrath, which I saw Dendy run once. Please run it again and slay people. And then Slardar, bash bonus damage increased by 20 per level. Slardar, personally, I don't think you need a buff. He's pretty good already. Treant Protector, Leech Seed damage per pulse decreased from 24, 36, 48, 60, 15, 30, 45, 60. So somewhat similar to the Lycan and the AA nerf, just less strong at level 1s, 2, and 3. So it pulses 6 times per Leech Seed. So at level 1, you'll have what 9 times 6, so 54 damage decrease. That's pretty significant, but it still slows a lot. It still lasts for 4.5 seconds or something absurd, and he still punches very, very hard. So take that away well. Treant Protector seems like he did need a little bit of a nerf though. Tusk, Snowball cooldown actually scales now. Walrus Punch cooldown scales even better now. So that's pretty cool. I hope to see Tusk more. He's fun. A lot of action, but we don't see him too often. Undying, intelligence growth increased from 2.0 to 2.5. Pretty much you had to get Arcane on him before because you just needed the mana. Decay takes insane amounts of mana. Soul Rip at higher levels is pretty low cooldown and also takes a lot of mana. Tombstone also takes a lot of mana, and his ultimate takes a lot of mana. So he's a strength hero without that much strength. Or strength hero, yeah, without that much strength or that much intel. Now you'll have at least some intel to make up for that. So that's cool. Undying, Ice Rock has to be a little bit careful how he tweaks it because he was super popular in Try on Try back in the day. Wind Ranger, Focus Fire mana cost decreased from 150 to 75, 100 to 125. Focus Fire is pretty weak anyways. Generally, you won't see it skilled up as 6. Hopefully that hero sees more play. I love seeing me some Shackles. Zeus, Lightning Bolt Vision and True Sight duration increased from 3 to 4.5. Lightning Bolt Search Area Effect increased from 250 to 325. I personally thought he was viable before 6.81. Definitely some global strats with AA, Spectre, Nature's Prophet, whatnot, but still generally good as just your utility nuker. Hopefully we'll see more Zeus. Items. Cut out the I for some reason. It's not teams, whatever. Mjolnir recipe cost increased from 600 to 900. Static charge duration decreased from 20 to 15. That static charge buff was just absolutely insane. You would see so many heroes get it all the time, and if it's placed on someone like Axe or Centaur, just say goodbye to your team unless you have mass BKBs. But the duration was 20 seconds, twice the duration of the longest duration BKB. So it will still do tons of damage most of the time. And that item needed a slight tweak to put it in line with other orb effects, because how often do you see people go Diffusal? Not really often. Desolator seen a little bit more often. Mask of Madness HOD seen sometimes too, but Mjolnir was leapfrogging all of those on most heroes where orb you actually have options. Also, you kind of saw it a lot because there's a lot of Mirana too, so maybe it didn't need that much nerf, but it'll find its right place soon. So anyways, thank you guys for tuning in to patch 6.81b analysis. If you like my videos, you can follow me on YouTube, youtube.com/Merlini Dota. Please subscribe if you want to find out when I release my next one. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, all the same /Merlini Dota. Thank you guys for watching.